So we're on the morning of Friday Night Lights Part 4, where the B-B-EJaguars football team will take on Atwater Cosmos Grove City at Grove City in what will be a hostile environment. Always a challenging place to play, where ACGC gives their best efforts on their home turf. Coach David Blom was in our house last night watching his Falcons volleyball team take on our Jaguars volleyball team. Coach Blom is a 2001 ACGC graduate who won a state title in his senior year when they were actually in Class 2A. And the year before, they had defeated our Jaguars in the fall of 2000. They beat our Jaguars in the playoff opener when we competed in the Section 5 2A playoffs for a few years before we went to Class 1A in the fall of 2002. Actually, I take that back. Fall of 2001, I remember. We did switch over to Class 1A. So we've been Class 1A football since the fall of 2001. But it was in the fall of 2001 that ACGC won their state title in his senior year. He rushed for over 2,000 yards that year. Always a tough competitor. He also coaches their track and field team and is an enjoyable and knowledgeable guy to talk to. His daughter and niece play for the volleyball team for ACGC. Last night ACGC played a good game, but fell in 3 sets to our Jaguars. Our Jaguars just had way too much balance, too much firepower, and when ACGC challenged us, we responded every time. There was a key moment in the first set. We built a 13-6 lead and actually fell into a 16-16 tie. But then we came on strong, and we ended up only giving up one more point the rest of the way. We won 25-17 in Game 1. And we struggled a little bit in Game 3, but came on right when we needed to and ended up with a 3-0 sweep. So the volleyball team is 17-2 overall, and they now have a big break until next Thursday for their homecoming match. This schedule, it's one of the rare years that I've known where the volleyball team does not go on the road during homecoming week. Generally they play next Tuesday night, but there must have been something with the schedule that made it such that they don't have a road game that week. The Jaguar tennis team competed at the Prairie Conference tournament yesterday, and I was there all day for probably about 90% of the tournament. I did have to leave to get back to Brooten for the Brooten Farmers Market, but I left after most matches had completed. Senior Bree T. Schaefer at number 2 singles was playing in her second set when I had to leave Osakis, and she ended up being one of multiple Jaguar squads, individuals that won third place matches, which was very exciting because a lot of them were seeded 4th. In fact, all Jaguars were seeded. 5 of the 7 were seeded number 4. Hannah Herman, our number 1 singles, was seeded at number 5. And then Grace Burnt and Ellen Fisher, our number 1 dubs, they were seeded number 3. And our 3 dubs team actually had great matches, but they did suffer a couple tough losses. They were very close in both of them. In fact, they really had a good shot at the championship semifinals to get into the first place match, but they ended up losing that match, and then they suffered a tough loss in the third place match. But many other Jaguars earned third place, and I have that posted on the blog. Now we prepare for the road trip tonight. And I want to give a shout out, as I do often, to our student athletes who compete with pride and compete with a lot of purpose and dedication. It's always remarkable to see that, and it's worth noting that just how sports teaches you how to win and how to lose. And I see the losing happen up on a very up close and from a front row seat. And when we beat other teams, or when other teams beat us, you know, you're seeing these student athletes suffering loss, and it's hard on them. It's tough on them. And we often see our teams dominate and beat other teams. And instead of, you know, you could think, gee, you know, you feel bad for beating that other team, but here's what I really think, and what you really ought to have this perspective. If you beat someone in an athletic competition, it's a message of saying, look, now you have the opportunity to get better. I just beat you, and you lost. And here's your chance to get better now. Make that decision. Am I going to get better? Or am I just going to stagnate? Or am I going to quit? So there's your opportunity. And if you think of as an adult, how often you compete with other adults, generally, most of the competition is generally for jobs and promotions. And if you get a job or you get a promotion, you're beating out other people that had that same purpose or that same dream in mind. And you don't sit there and say, well, I feel really bad because so-and-so didn't get the job because I got the job. You know, people generally don't look at it that way. But if I beat you to get this job, again, there's the opportunity. You can improve yourself. Now you need to work hard to get better, to be worthy of another job, a different promotion. So sports gets a bad rap way too often, and people are very quick to complain. And sometimes I get it. Yes, you can overdo sports. I get that. But the complaints I hear in general are that, and it stems from jealousy. It stems from people that don't like sports. And you know what? You don't have to like sports. I don't like professional sports. I can't think of any professional sport that comes to mind that I give two rats cents about. But I see the value and purpose in sports. So instead of just whining about sports and all the attention that sports gets, mind your own bobber and don't worry about sports. And stop being jealous of the people that actually enjoy sports. And stop being jealous of kids that put their effort and time and energy into sports. Because it's a good thing if it has balance. So don't sit there and think, wow, there's kids put too much into sports. That's not true. What you can say, kids maybe don't put enough into fine arts or music. Yes, that's a valid concern. But it doesn't have to take away from sports. We can enjoy sports. It's a good thing. It's a very positive thing, especially for kids. They need that. They need that outlet. They need that socializing. They need that ability to go meet other people and compete. Compete with pride and purpose. And work for a common goal as a team. That is important. Yes, you can do that in band. Of course you can do it in choir and other non-sports activities. Yes, of course. But sports is an important part of our culture, and it's an important part of our schools. There's my 2 cents. Now it's time to head to Waterfest up in Glenwood. We'll see you tonight, some of you, at Friday Night Lights Part 4.